Today's game history will be about the Street Fighter franchise. We'll even cover how this successful game gained its popularity. Street Fighter, commonly abbreviated as SF, is a fighting video game franchise with a long history, which was developed and published by Capcom. Capcom released the first Street Fighter game in August 1987. After that, a series of titles were launched: Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 2, 3, 4, 5, and others. Before we dive into this franchise's history, let's first talk about the main characters to clearly understand its history. Takashi Nishiyama and Hiroshi Matsumoto are the creators of Street Fighter. First off, there's Ryu, the lone martial artist. He's actually an orphan who has no memory of his parents. A man by the name of Goken raised and trained Ryu to the ways of martial arts in his secluded dojo. At the age of 23, Ryu competes against many fighters in a worldwide martial arts tournament. For part 1, we'll mention about Ryu. Other related characters will be mentioned in part 2. Now let's get into its gameplay. Due to Street Fighter having various titles, spin-offs, and crossovers, the timeline can be quite confusing. There are 3 basic types of punches and kicks, varying in different speed and strength. Many played Street Fighter at home on consoles and PC. Of course, these days you can play Street Fighter on mobile devices. Part 1 will cover Street Fighter games from the arcade 2D era. For part 2, we'll share info on the Street Fighter franchise in the modern console era. Street Fighter. An unrefined control scheme and sluggish gameplay held it back from achieving the immense critical and commercial acclaim that its successors would eventually reach, but the game still did its job of establishing the blueprint for 1 vs 1 2D fighting games, while also introducing legendary Street Fighter protagonists Ryu and Ken, and their soon-to-be famous signature moves, the Hadouken, Shoryuken, and Tatsumaki Senpukyaku. Street Fighter 2, the game that really got it started. Player engages opponents in one-on-one close quarter combat in a series of best 2 out of 3 matches. The objective of each round is to deplete the opponent's vitality before the timer runs out. In the original, the game's controls use a configuration of an 8-directional joystick and 6 attack buttons. The original Street Fighter 2 features a roster of 8 playable characters that can be selected by the player. The roster initially included Ryu and Ken. Stay tuned for part 2 on our game history of the Street Fighter franchise. Also, don't forget to hit that bell sign so that you can be the first ones to watch future content from Mobydoom.